Hello everyone, thanks for listening. I apologize for the scratchy voice as I'm getting over a cold along with the rest of my family. For my screencast, I decided to use a PowerPoint already created for classroom use. The PowerPoint was teacher created and available for free on a website titled Embark, which is a site that is paired lesson by lesson with the Engaged New York math curriculum that we use at school. I made edits to the original PowerPoint to make it more applicable for this class, but kept most of it pretty similar. My audience for this fraction lesson would be my 4th grade class and would act as a mini lesson before we got into our math workshop. The main goal of this lesson is that students can use the area model and division to show the equivalence of two fractions. The objectives are: 1. Following necessary instructions, students will be able to demonstrate equivalent fractions on an area model with 100% accuracy. And 2. Following necessary instructions, students will be able to use division to find an equivalent fraction with 100% accuracy. For the rest of the screencast, I will be speaking as if I'm talking with my 4th graders during a true math lesson. All right, here we go. Hello kiddos, today we're going to be working through lesson 5. Please take out your math journal so we can write down the following learning target. I can use the area model and division to show the equivalence of two fractions. As always, make sure you're following along with the instruction in your notes. Yesterday we worked a lot on using area models and multiplication to show equivalence of fractions, and we'll see many similarities between multiplication and division. All right, let's go ahead and look at our first example of 10/12, and the area model has actually already been drawn for you. If we are composing an equivalent fraction using multiplication, we talked yesterday about multiplying both the denominator and the numerator by the same number. But what about when we're using division? What could we do? Now, hopefully you came up with the conclusion that you divide both the numerator and denominator by the same number, and that would be correct. So for this example in 10/12, what would you divide each number by? Well, first you'd have to figure out what factor that both of them share. Now, I'm going to give you a second to think what factor is shared between 10 and 12. All right, well, hopefully you came up with the answer of 2. 2 is a factor of both 10 and 12. If we divide 10 by 2, that equals 5, and we divide 12 by 2, that equals 6. So that means that 10/12 is equal to 5/6. Now let's take a look at the area model. We already know that we're going to be looking for groups of 2 because that was the common factor between 10 and 12. So what fraction does this area model show? Well, if you can see, I found groups of 2, and there are 6 groups. 5 of them are shaded, 1 of them are not shaded. So this shows that the answer would truly be 5 out of 6 from the previous slide, and the previous slide is supported. Let's go ahead and look at one more example. We're going to go ahead and start out with the fraction 9/12, and again the area model is provided. Now remember, the first question we're going to ask ourselves is, what number can divide evenly into both 9 and 12? Hopefully you came up with 3, because 3 is a factor of both 9 and 12. 9 divided by 3 equals 3, and 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So 9/12 equals 3/4. Now, again, using the area model, we're looking for groups, and this time instead of looking for groups of 2, we're looking for groups of 3. So we found our groups of 3. Now there are 4 groups total. 3 are shaded and 1 are not shaded. So our area model supports our answer of 3/4 from the previous slide. One thing I want you to think about is, how is finding the factors of the numerator and denominator helpful in finding an equivalent fraction? How did the factors help us through this process? Make sure you're really thinking about this, pondering about it, because we will talk about it later today. All right, now that you are all experts in using area models and division to create equivalent fractions, it's practice time. Go ahead and take out your problem sets and get to work. As I said earlier, I used a lot of the Lesson 5 PowerPoint from the Embark site, and I wanted to make sure that I did give them credit. Anyone is more than happy to go through the lessons and really look at what Embark provides. Thanks for listening.